Tim and Ulli.
Welcome, Ulli, to the Food Summit.
Thank you, Tim.
I find the story of Betty Farm Paris Creek really an intriguing one, because it was a business that was started with no sales, no employees, no money, no infrastructure, no buildings, and then late 2017 it sells for $34 million. It's really a remarkable story, and as a South Australian in the room, particularly for the food industry and for South Australia, it just proves that we can punch above our weight and can be successful. Ulli, you really have been for 30 years the face behind the brand, and so it's a great pleasure that we've got this opportunity together to tell other people the story today. So let's start with the vision for this Betty Farm Paris Creek.
Yeah, it all started with a dream we had back when we lived in Germany. We wanted to do something really meaningful. We came from a city-based work environment. My husband was working in an office and I was a graphic designer. But for our children, we wanted to grow them up in the country. We wanted them to have life that's not city-based, and we were looking for a career what we can do in the country, so we became farmers. We wanted to set up a project, not just be a farmer and grow some food. We wanted to set up a project where we could show that we can grow ethical food, environmental friendly food, and made it commercially viable, and so that's what we set out to do.
So I recall back in 2001 when I first met you, you were at Paris Creek. I thought, where the hell is Paris Creek? I had to look it up. It was near Meadows, and eventually I found it. But you certainly have everyone sort of knows of Paris Creek now, and to being an accountant and a massive risk taker as I am, to come from a different country to Australia with a different culture, what was it like in the beginning?
Yeah, well, we didn't know where Paris Creek was either. So we travelled around Australia for 1 year. We came with a mobile home that we built back in Germany. And so we were free to look for the place, and after 10 months of traveling, we found Paris Creek by accident. However, we were looking for a certain place. It needed to have plentiful water, it needed to be pollution-free, it needed to be close to city, so that for our project, we looked at transportation possibilities later. It needed to have good schools around, and it needed to be affordable, because as Tim mentioned, we didn't come loaded with money. We had to borrow everything, every single cent. We had to borrow. So we fortunately had family and friends back in Germany who lent us the money, and that's where we settled down in Paris Creek. So
Ulli, when I first met you, you just started the yogurt factory. It was 2001, and then you built a massive development of the cheese factory was built, and then 17, you then built another processing plant. So there's an enormous amount of challenges along the way. When you look back, you think, we took a lot of risks, but it did pay off. And I suppose, was there a moment in business where sort of a light bulb moment when you thought, we've finally made this, and there's the challenges, whatever they are, that come our way, we can survive.
Yeah, working hard every day, you never really think this is the point where we made it. because that was also an evolving business. There was not a stop to it. Every day we developed new products at the beginning. When we used up all our milk, when we needed more milk, then we talked to other farmers. We had to convert other farmers. Then we knew at a certain stage so and so much milk is coming our way. Then we had to be ready for this milk. We had to make sure the processing plant can deal with that quantity. We had to make sure distribution is in place. We had to make sure the consumers can take the additional quantity of products at that time. So it was constantly evolving. And I suppose you never sit back and think, oh, that's it now. It was just continuously going on.
I recall, I mean, one of the hardest tasks with biodynamic would be to convert conventional farmers to biodynamic, and I recall we had a meeting with one of the farmers who ended up being one of our best farmers today. I don't know what happened, but he took offence to us and we ordered us off the property, didn't he?
That's right, and his wife called us back. These things happened on the way. There were ups and downs, as every business has, but we were working our way through. Converting a farmer from conventional farming to biodynamic farming takes 3 years, and that's certainly not an easy step for the farmers to decide for, especially because in that time all the feed for the cows has to be biodynamic, which is about 4 times more expensive than conventional feed. When at that time we just couldn't take the products because they were not converted. So that always was a rocky road for the farmers, but eventually they succeeded, and then there's no looking back.
So, Ulli, by the end, you've grown a business where it was turning over $20 million. Did you ever think it would ever get to that stage?
Yeah, as I said, it's an evolving business, and every day you're growing. And so at the beginning there was a goal, maybe $500,000 turnover, and then there was $1 million, and then it was $3 million, and then it was $5 million. So we always had that goal in mind, what we had to achieve in a certain time frame, and we had to sort out everything around to be able to achieve that. I suppose every business has to grow. As soon as you become complacent and you sit down and think, oh, that's great, everything is working now, and you don't go to the next step up, that's when the business stagnates and eventually you go backwards. So we didn't just put the stake high for financial gains, we also put the stake very high for quality, for efficiency in all different areas. I believe you can always do better. So whenever something was working, we looked at, okay, how can we increase that? How can we make it working better? And that's how we grew the business.
So, being a business advisor for many years now, to be a business owner is a roller coaster ride. You do experience the ups, you experience the downs. For yourself, can you maybe talk about some of the painful moments in business and also some of the most rewarding moments in business?
Yeah, the rewarding moments, there are plenty. When we got recognition for building up the business, for our environmental initiatives, and for everything we were doing for the products. There's not one product on the market that hasn't received at least gold. So that was always so rewarding. When an employee knocks on your door and thanks you for giving them a chance, for giving them work when they have difficulties, to help them to support their family. And of course, when the farmers come from a very difficult time, because the dairy industry is not financially for the farmers definitely not in a good situation. When the farmers tell you now they actually make money, they can put money back on the farms. And I remember especially our first supplier when he came to see me in the office, and he said, you know what, the first time ever since we are on the farm we go on holidays. So these things are just so good to get, but of course no business without customers, and when customers give you feedback that we have supported their family with really good dairy products, that they couldn't have dairy products before, but now the children can have dairy products because of the pureness of our products, and this is just so good. So it makes every hour you work hard worthwhile.
And let's talk about some of the bad times, please.
Well, there were some too, of course. In 2009, 2010, we withdrew all our cheeses from the shelves, and that was only a few years into cheese making when we built a cheese factory, and we were just growing that business. That was extremely painful.
Being an accountant, as I said before, I can't imagine being able to, 20 years that was probably into the business life, and to be faced with that decision that all that success that you've achieved could have been ruined with the flick of the switch.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably would have said, let's hide in a corner somewhere, let's not recall the product. But, and hopefully the problem goes away, but, let's talk about that night, that day that it happened.
I remember when the quality manager came to me and told me, and honestly my heart stopped beating. But then you can't just sit there and feel sad about it, so we had to make a decision, what do we do? And we are claiming to produce the healthiest dairy products in Australia. You can't just ignore any quality problem. So straight away, because it was a bacteria problem, we said we have to just recall everything that's out there. There was not a second thought, because the customer's safety is the most important thing. And so we did recall everything. Cost us $2.5 million at the time when we were building up a business, and you just don't have that sort of money laying around. So it was very difficult financially, but we never lost the trust from our customers. We didn't jeopardize their loyalty. We came out, I would say, much stronger, because after that we got so much feedback from consumers that they still buy our products. They never thought there was a real big problem, especially because we found out that we recalled much too much. We didn't have to do it at that extent, but I still feel good about that we just did it.
And $2.5 million, I mean, that's astronomical, obviously, but
It was a lot at that time.
how was the bank, the support of the bank at that point in time?
Yeah, you would think that a bank you have been, we thought we had a very good relationship with for much over 10 years, would support you in a situation like that, but that was just after the global financial crisis, and we had, in that time, we were processing business that that particular bank didn't want in their portfolio anymore. because globally they had lost a lot of money with other processing business. And so we were selected as the company they didn't want in there anymore. And that was extremely painful, and that was not gradually happening. We had a man coming for meeting, we didn't know why he was coming, and he just sat down and straight away dropped the bombshell. And Tim, you were there.
Well, I think we didn't expect it. We were in a complete state of shock. But I think in hindsight, the message that he did deliver forced us to say, right, we need to get on here, put the hard yards in, and turn the company around. There was no other choice, was there?
That's exactly true. We had to pull up the sleeves again and tighten all our financial business. So we had to look at efficiency in all areas. We had to liaise with our customers, with the suppliers to close that gap in the cash flow. We had to look at everything. We couldn't leave one stone unturned to pull through that. And on top of that, he came and he said, "Oh, and by the way, it would be good if you look for another bank." So, yeah.
Oh, well, enough of the bad news. Let's move on.
Oh, I suppose we came out much stronger.
Yeah.
I mean, that was awakening up call.
Yeah. Well, let's now talk about the sale of the business and how that occurred, and because you do have 5 adult children who could have easily perhaps taken on the succession plan, like we've heard about the Cooper family. It could have been the Spranz family with the dairy industry, but that didn't eventuate. So tell us what led you down this path.
Yeah. We have 5 beautiful children, and they grew up in the business. They could have easily taken over the business because they all worked in various areas there. But they decided to travel at some stage, which we supported. And when children travel, then sometimes they stay somewhere. So we have a few who are not in Australia, and they have set up their own business. We have one close by us. He has also set up his own business. So 3 of them running their own thing, and they are happy with it. So at some stage, a few years back, we got approached by companies every now and then. We got an inquiry, would you be selling your business? And there were some extremely attractive offers on the table. And we always thought, oh no, we are young enough, we still can do this. We actually enjoyed our business. We didn't know what the children had in mind, but at some stage we had a family conference and we clarified whether the children want to come back and want to come in the business. And collectively, they said they're happy in their lives, so they don't want to take over our business. And the 2 youngest one was studying at the time, and the youngest was still at school. So eventually what he's studying now is entrepreneurship, and I told him he could have that easier, could have stepped in our footsteps, but that's how things go. So after this meeting with the children, that opened up our mind to do what we wanted to do, and after another few inquiries whether we wanted to sell the business, we thought, yeah, why not? So we sat down and we thought, what do we want out of the sale? What do we want for the business? What do we want for us? And we set down our criteria on paper. Then we thought, okay, if we sell the business, how do we go about should we follow up on those inquiries? Should we just go on the easy way and say, okay, that's a good offer, we'll take that? Or should we start new and open up the business for sale and see what else is out there in the market? So there we wrote down all the different possibilities that can happen, how you can sell a business. And most of all, we were also considering, do we want investment or do we want a straight sale? Once we were clear about all of this, then that was in about October last year, we engaged a broker and specifically targeted some companies that some had approached us before and some new ones, and it all evolved from that.
And you know, happened so quickly, didn't it, Ulli? So you know, we're looking at October. The check arrived on just before Christmas, 23rd of December or the 22nd of December. What was this due diligence process? You know, you were trying to run a business, we were trying to finish off the development, and all of a sudden we've got an inquiry of someone very serious about buying the business.
Yeah, it was mind-blowing. I can't express it different. We had just made the decision and started to prepare the business, and there were a few companies that just wanted to move very quick, and we were in this last project we undertook. We built a new brand new bottling line, high tech, and huge development in the business. We spent nearly $10 million for that extension, and we were still finishing that, so it was not even finished. We just started marketing. We changed our distribution system in the Eastern Seaboard, and we were involved in a few other developments, new milk suppliers and all sorts of things. And suddenly we had to sell the business in that short time frame because there was one purchaser here. They were outstanding, and they fit in with everything that we wished for the business. And we had to pull up our sleeves again and work day and night to put everything together in a due diligence process that they required. So we thought we knew what due diligence was, and we thought we were well prepared for that. We had good processes in the business, but until it hit us, I think we didn't really know. So yeah, it was a roller coaster to get it all done. We had about 6 weeks to pull it all together.
A very quick time, and it was a very stressful time, I can recall that.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I suppose some of the ideas or strategies that you had about wanting to retain the brand Betty Farm Paris Creek, to make sure that the new owners had a smooth transition, because there's always the fear that employees walk out the door, or suppliers get a little bit nervous. So maybe what sort of ideas did you have in relation to that?
Yeah, we had to prepare the business that everything continues, because it is still a purely South Australian business. Part of the sale was that all workers or all employees or managers are taken over by the new owners, and so we prepared our top people for this. So we involved them in a day-to-day business that Marston and I was doing, and we groomed them in a very short time. But also we had an extremely good team, so we had no question that they couldn't take over and keep the business going. We also gave the workforce a bonus payment that came in several stages over this year. that we paid out of our own pocket, and as a thank you for everybody who supported us over the years, so that there is a incentive for them to stay in the business and keep going. And for the top managers, it was over 1.5 years. They get in different steps, they get incentive payment that still comes from us. We also gave some bonuses to our milk suppliers, and that was of course very well received. So everything in a way is still the same. We stayed on for 2 months, and then we went. I have a mother who needs support, so we went to Germany for a couple of weeks. And when we came back, then all of the people who were in the top management, they said that they will continue by themselves, so they don't want to rely on our support so much anymore, and that was totally okay for us. By that time we had set up a new business, which is Spranz Consulting. So we are now consulting back to the owners where they need it, but predominantly we went back to our grassroots, what we love to do. We are working with the farmers. So the new company has huge goals, what they want to achieve in the next few years, and we are making sure that they have enough milk supply. That's what we are engaged to do.
So there may be someone in the audience that's looking at selling their business at the moment, but what sort of tips would you have for them, given that you've just gone through the process?
Well, even if you don't sell the business, I always think that you need to good partners around, good management teams, maybe a good board, but also we always had good advisors around us. So Tim was working with us for many years. That long-term relationship that creates that trust that I think is important in a business. And also they knew our business, they knew how we are, who we are, what we want. And that was an important factor in the sale of the business, to have those advisors on your side and be able to bounce back ideas. I believe that I still need to make the decision, but I'm always happy to listen to other people. One of the very critical points for us was to have the right lawyers in place, and that's not just before the sale and having the contract, because at that time I would have not known what I need in the contract, but the lawyers did. And going back now through the last half year, it came very clear that they did a fantastic job. They secured so many important points that I just would have not known where to start there. So that was an important part as well.
And I suppose also with the highs and lows that we've spoken about, your intuition. Did you want to sort of just quickly touch on intuition?
Yeah, we very often you have this first thought of, oh no, this is not good, but then you think about it consciously, and then you think, oh, maybe I should still do it. So I found myself a lot in situations when I realized my first thought was, no, don't do it, but I still did, and it didn't work well. So intuition for us was is important, but also a very strategic approach towards making the business ready. So if you have the slightest thought about selling the business, start at the very beginning. Is your business ready? Do you have all the the systems in place that makes your business attractive. And thanks God we had a lot of this in place. That's why we have been successful. But it's very important to prepare well beforehand. We didn't do that, so that's why we had those extremely stressful 2 months.
Finally, for you and Helmut, what's next?
Well, I personally, I'm not talking for Helmut here, enjoy our new business. We have had a lot of inquiries from other companies whether we would consult them, and this is something that we will do eventually. But at the moment we really enjoy working with the farmers, working for the Farm Paris Creek, and make sure there's enough milk coming their way, which also involves working with grain growers and making sure the dairy farmers have enough feed, which of course in this climate time at the moment it's very difficult. We also have a few other farm-based projects that we are following up. We still have our 3 own dairy farms, which keeps us busy. I can see the children more often, so they are very happy. They make sure we have meetings every now and then. One of them marries in Germany in September, so we are going over there for 4 weeks.
You're a grandma now, you've been a grandma for a year?
I'm a grandma for a year, yeah. And so we are seeing our grandchild more often. She lives in Western Australia. So there are lots and lots of things that are coming our way, which just keep us busy every day. Talking for Helmut, he has something else in his mind, and I still get my head around whether I want to do it. He's preparing for a trip around the world, and he wants to do that in a 4-wheel drive truck. So.
Well, time's up, and so Ulli, thank you very much for your time. You've been a wonderful friend since we first met, and for both you and Helmut, I wish you all the best in the next chapter of your life. So,
thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much to both Ulli and to Tim. Are there any questions quickly from the floor? Are there any questions? No, there aren't. So please, ladies and gentlemen, do thank Tim Sargent and Ulli Spranz for a really interesting, fascinating talk. Our next speaker is going to be fascinating.